Right, MyMaths Probability Introduction and a walk through the solution to both questions. Question 1. Likelihood. For each question, decide whether it is certain, likely, even chance, unlikely, or impossible. These are the words you will have definitely used in primary school to describe probability. So here's the statement. You get an odd number when you roll a normal dice. Here's an explanation of a normal dice. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice. Half the numbers are odd, half the numbers are even. So getting an odd number, it has got an even chance. You get a number less than 6 when you roll a normal dice. Well, you could get 6, which is not what the statement says. You want less than 6, but it's extremely likely. It's highly likely, or in this case, just likely, not certain though. The front page of a newspaper will contain the word plum. Well, there could be a story about the harvest, but it's not particularly likely, so I would go with unlikely. I agree, some of these are a little bit difficult to decide sometimes because it depends on your opinion on things. This one, though, has got nothing to do with opinion, because multiplying an even number by another even number gives an odd number. That, I'm afraid, is totally impossible. You can try out a few numbers, or you can think about what you know about even and odd numbers in general. As long as they contain the factor 2, they will always be even. The next person you pass in the street is male. Now, there are roughly half as many males as females in the world, so the chance is pretty even for this one. Then, here it becomes a lot less depending on where you live, for instance, for the street or your opinion. Here it is sweets in bags, and you choose the bag which best matches each description. The description is, it is certain that Ethan will take a stripy sweet from a bag. So certain means there is no way anything else could happen, and that's only the case in bag 5, because it doesn't contain anything other than stripy sweets. It's unlikely that Ethan will take a stripy sweet from a bag. So we just need to find one where there are hardly any stripy sweets in there. That one hasn't got any, but bag 4 has got one. It's just not very likely. It is an even chance that Ethan will take a stripy sweet from a bag. An even chance we could have when we've got the same amount of stripies and plain sweets. And that's the case in bag 1. Oh, apologies. Click in the box. Bag 1. Before you move on, click on Mark It. And we've got that one right. I'll be back for question 2 in 2 seconds. Right, here's question 2 to do with fairness. 4 dice are being tested for fairness. Look at the results below and decide whether each dice is probably fair, probably unfair, or hard to be sure either way. Right, first of all, I'm looking at this table straight away. I'm looking at dice 3 and dice 4. We can't really say much from these results. Why? Because it's not been rolled often enough. Okay, so for both of these columns, just based on the number of tries, it's hard to tell. So I've got a H here, and even though this looks a bit like, look, 6 seems to be more likely. 6 comes up more often than any of the other numbers, quite a lot more often, 2 or 3 times as many times. But still, from so few rolls, that is, I'm afraid, hard to be sure either way. Here, in this column, I'm looking at, are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coming up about the same amount of times? 50, 50, 47s and 51. They're all round about the 49, 50 mark. So yes, I would say this one is probably fair. And this one here, look at that. I've got almost 90 times the number 1 coming up, but only 30 times, just under 30 times the 6 coming up. I'd say this one is probably unfair. Okay. And then the last one, complete the instructions which make the statement true. I want to have a statement that says stripy is twice as likely as plain. And I want to remove some sweets. Stripy, twice as likely as plain. so I would need twice as many stripies. I've got 2 stripies, so I want to be left with only 1 plane. That means I need to remove 2 plane. Stripy impossible. Again, based on this bag to start with, I need to remove all the stripies. And then there will be no chance of me picking one. 2 stripy. Stripy and plain equally likely. In this case, I don't want to remove sweets. In this case, I want to put some in. Equally likely means I would have to have the same amount of sweets. In this case, I would need to add 1 stripy. And last question, plain is supposed to be twice as likely as stripy, again done by adding. I've got 2 stripes at the moment. For twice as likely, I would need 4 planes, so I would need to add 1 more plane and then click mark it in order to move on. You can now see a summary and the homework is completed. I hope this helped. Send me an email if you want more videos, please.